Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Maddie.
Yeah, I think AJ's gone. He was talking about how he wanted to, be a regular host again, and he just is out. Before we introduce Pope Bag Boom, we have a nice little advertisement. It is not too late to get your SempreMilan merchandise for a Christmas gift. We cannot guarantee it will arrive by Christmas, but you're guaranteed to love it. So,
well, it'll get there by Christmas 2024. You know,
there we go. Plan ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Lorenzo's here again. It's been a while.
It has. I'm glad I got to feature before the end of the year. It's always nice. I've got my name in honor of our best player, who's not going to be playing for God knows 6 more months. Who knows? We may never see him again.
That's a bit morbid. The injuries.
I just realized
you'd like it. Let's be honest. You'd be happy about it.
No. I couldn't believe that 20 minutes in and his hip went like he's about 50 years old. I mean, grandfather Pobega couldn't hack it. Anyway, before we dive into this episode, we've got a couple of games to recap. 2 wins. Look at us go. Hey, who would have thought? Not me. And a game to preview, our last one before Christmas, which is Salernitana. And just for all the loyal listeners who want to know how we're planning things schedule-wise, you might have noticed that 1 week from today, Monday the 25th of December, is Christmas Day. And we will be spending time with our families. I don't think we'll manage to record a podcast that day unless something ridiculous happens. And even then, it's not happening. So what we are going to be doing is recording a Christmas quiz directly after this episode. And that will go out probably a day or 2 before Christmas. So you still get a little bit of content to enjoy over Christmas. Lorenzo's compiled the quiz. I think there's going to be 5 of us doing it. 4 or 5 anyway, which is a great turnout.
With a special surprise person that we're not going to mention now.
Yeah, so that's going to be massive.
Area.
That's going to be massive. And before we dive into it as well, I've got to read out our list of Substack founding members whose support we really, really appreciate. Des Windsor McGlynn, Ali Tareen, Tito Mac, Moritz Polman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MJ, and Mats. Thank you for supporting everything that we're doing on the bonus side of things. Once again, not too late to get a Substack subscription for the Milan fan in your life, or gift yourself. It's that kind of time of year. You've got to be generous to yourself as well.
You will get that in time for Christmas, though. You
definitely will. And you can actually try a week for free. So you can basically not pay for it before Christmas, and you can see the kind of things that we're doing on there. So yes, thanks to everyone who is a subscriber in any way, shape, or form, but especially to our founding members. And also the real reason AJ is not here is because his dog is having surgery today. So we wish the very best to Chuck.
Didn't he have it last week?
That's why. Last week was going to the vet, and then today
I swear he had surgery last week.
No, I'm fairly sure
it's today.
Yeah, I think that's exactly why he can't.
He'll turn a corner just like our Chuck. He'll be fine.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, strength in Chuck. Okay, so we start with a recap of our final Champions League group stage game at St James's Park against Newcastle. So we concluded our Champions League group stage campaign away from home against Newcastle. I was fortunate enough to be at this game. I managed to get a ticket in the away section. Isaac was there too. He flew over to London, and then we flew up to Newcastle together, which was something I've never done. I've never flown domestically before, but it was.
Is this the first time you met Isaac?
No, I've met Isaac before. Okay. No, I've met Isaac.
Why did he go straight to Newcastle from Sweden?
He went because it was about £100 more expensive, and also because I was getting a flight up.
How much was the flight from London to Newcastle?
£30. So it was cheaper than the train. And it took 45 minutes. So we took off at 5 o'clock and we'd landed before 6 o'clock. So we were able to go out the night before the game because we flew up the day before the game. And then, had a fantastic day in Newcastle on the Wednesday. Seeing a lot of fans, catching up with people. It's always great when we play over in England because generally everyone goes and we don't normally get a result, but this time we bloody did. Hey, we got a win. It wasn't quite enough to reach the last 16. There was no signal in the away end at St James's Park, so we were just, someone's dying there.
Yes, my girlfriend. I'm sorry.
she got bubonic plague. What the hell?
It's bad.
Get
she
well
hates
soon.
Newcastle. That's what it is.
Yeah. Disgusting.
I'll tell her all the listeners. Yeah.
But yeah, we were obviously losing at half time. Joe Linton scored a cracker. Really, it was a nicely taken shot into the top corner. Word comes through that Borussia Dortmund have taken the lead against PSG, but we don't look like we're going to turn it around, to be honest, against Newcastle. And then we did. We scored an equaliser in kind of a scrappy fashion. Ball kind of ricocheting around the box, but Giroud laid it on a plate for Christian Pulisic, who got it in from close range deep inside the box. I genuinely thought he was offside, or there was offside somewhere in the build-up there because he was so alone, and it wasn't to be. And then, Samuel Chukwueze scores a winner inside the final 10 minutes. Incredible scenes in the away end. We didn't know at that stage what it meant, because obviously there was a few minutes left. Might Dortmund nab a winner? Could we still go through here? But at the very least, it meant that we finished above them, and we kept ourselves in Europe. And you know what? Overall, last half an hour, I walked out of it thinking that's not a bad performance under the circumstances.
No, I mean, conceding first in a must-win game, in the chat, we were all like, "Screw this! We're done." Surprisingly, AJ was just like, "Guys, it's early on. We'll be fine." Some people in the chat stopped watching. We're not going to mention those people.
Do it.
But
not me. I was there.
I was pointing at Lorenzo. Wait, am I not pointing at Lorenzo right now?
You're in the middle. You're pointing the other way. I don't know. Maybe it's a different view for you.
Oliver left the game. No.
He left.
Lorenzo had to work.
Yeah, it was that
bad.
Yeah.
I was picking up my child from daycare, and then I got back in the car and I saw that Pulisic scored, and I was like, all right, it's not over yet. Got home in time to watch Chukwueze score. I think the most impressive part is him and Okafor came on and teamed up for a goal in less than a minute. That's huge. I was ecstatic. I started screaming. My son was ecstatic because I was screaming. So he started screaming too. Eventually he'll learn why we're screaming. But
all in good time.
I hate Newcastle. I strongly dislike Anthony Gordon. So I was extremely happy when they were kicked out of European football, because hopefully they don't qualify for next year.
Yeah, they're struggling a bit in the league, aren't they? It's just people called Anthony tend to be quite dislikable, generally speaking.
Definitely.
As a rule. Yeah. Lorenzo, I'm presuming you've seen the highlights of this. Chuck took his goal very well. Yeah. Very well indeed. 64 seconds, first touch.
Unbelievable. I actually managed to watch most of the second half, which is obviously the best part. A few really good things is, one, what a goal by Joelinton. And when I say that, I mean such an amazing goal that no one's ever
it was great.
Brilliant. Inject that. I want that every day. I mean, what a goal by Joelinton. But yeah, I'm glad that it was all for nothing. Pulisic's goal was fantastic. I think it was in the sense that it was indicative of Newcastle switching off when I saw the highlights, because that was the bit I missed, I have to say. But that they let us back in the game. That was really, really bad defending. And as soon as that goal went in, I think momentum shifted. They came into the second half, not too bad, Newcastle, but then I think from about the 55th, 60th minute, it was all Milan. And what a counter-attack it was for Chukwueze's goal, which was absolutely, what a take. What a goal that is. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I think we said it in the chat, and I for one, I'm happy. Obviously, to be boring and blunt, it's great for revenues. I'm glad we're not out of Europe, but obviously we can all say that we don't really want to be in the Europa League, although I do think we have a chance of actually winning the trophy, which is fantastic. I was genuinely more ecstatic that Newcastle finished bottom and we were the ones to do it than qualifying for the Europa League, which is mental, but I genuinely am happier with that. I was just like, thank God. Shuts up the Premier League fans. Good for our coefficient. And maybe we can go on and win the Europa League. Who knows?
I don't think that, I do agree that, if you're not playing in Champions League, it's kind of save our energy for the league. But I think for the players themselves to continue to play in a second competition, it's good for the team, to build that additional chemistry and also like the fitness to play in 2 or 3 competitions. So
I also think we can win it. We can legitimately win the Europa League. We are in for a real shot this year. So that's also positive.
We're currently the third favourite amongst the bookmakers to win the Europa League. Liverpool and Leverkusen, who are both having resurgent seasons, are the teams that are favourites above us, and you can't argue with that, really. The draw has been done today. We'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the episode as a last thing. But yeah, it feels in some ways like a consolation prize, the Europa League, and there's always going to be that section of the fan base who say we're a club that has no business being in it. It should be Champions League or nothing. We haven't got the squad to cope, blah, blah, blah. But it is what it is. Like, we earned 2.9 million from that win against Newcastle in the last group stage game. Like, that's how much prize money you get for a win in the group stages. So you want that money, and you want to beat a Premier League team. It's only our second ever win in England out of over 20 games. We have a horrendous record in England, and it felt really good to get one over on them. Now, I know Newcastle fans were saying before and after the game even about their injury crisis, how many players they have out. Well, so do we, and you don't have to play a left back at centre back. Like, they can still play position for position, round pegs in round holes. And I think a lot of them were very frustrated with what happened in the penultimate game against PSG with a bit of a dodgy penalty that ended up earning PSG a draw. And that point is what saw them go through. So maybe we ought to feel a little bit aggrieved about that as well, because it would have been the difference for us too, as it turns out. But yeah, it's a bit of a lesson, 1 win in 6 for Newcastle in the group stage. Not particularly brilliant, and it feels in many ways like it was for us in our return to the Champions League, where we're riding the crest of a wave and we think, we can get through Liverpool, Porto and Atletico Madrid. Yeah, and Atletico Madrid, no problem. And then, as it turns out, we finish bottom because we're lacking in the experience. And these teams that you play, they've just got 1 or 2 years more experience, or more in some cases. But yeah, was delighted with this one. I think the subs made the difference, as you boys have touched upon. Was very impressed with Okafor, Jovic, and Chukwueze, the 3 of them. I think they were game changers, to be honest. Especially that counter attack in the final 10 minutes was brilliantly done. What I will say is, and of course there's got to be a little negative to it, should have been 4-1. To be honest, we hit the post twice.
Yeah. I will say, to those who say like we don't have the squad to compete in the Europa League, if we don't have the squad to compete in the Europa League, we don't have the squad to compete in Champions League. Like, it's 2 competitions, no matter how you look at it. But the more we compete in these competitions, the more depth you can build, so we can compete in these competitions. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword until it's not.
Yeah, obviously the prize money's a lot lower for being in the Europa League. Like, you have to essentially get to the semi-finals in order to make the same as just getting to the round of 16 in the Champions League. However, if we'd have gone through, it would have been second. We knew Dortmund were gonna top the group, so we'd have got a tough draw most likely, and then we could have crashed out straight away. Whereas now we are potentially looking at what is hopefully going to be a deep European run. And obviously, it needs to coincide with better luck on the injury front, which isn't a given. But we're still there. We'll still have midweek football to look forward to. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, look, I'd had a few pints. My memory of the game is not particularly crystal clear, but
the Rafa chance, I think, is quite annoying. I do want to touch on that. The Tomori one, I'll give him a little bit of, although that's an easier chance. He's a centre back. It was leggy. It was the 93rd minute or something. But Rafa's annoying because if the game didn't swing that way, that could have been a really pivotal moment. And again, he's done the simple wrong. And I actually think he hit the ball. I looked at it back. I think Tomori actually had a really good connection. He just hit it straight at the post. I just don't understand. He needs to be doing the simple things more correctly. But look, he's in Europa League now. Hopefully slightly easier opposition. Get his confidence up in Europe. But yeah, a bit disappointed with Leao, to be honest.
I mean, he's out of form, right? Like, it was his first game back from injury, but when you're getting a huge contract, you are expected to come back. And when you're, I know what you got, it's when he was one-on-one with the goalie, right? And it just, in that position, you have to score. Like,
you do, yeah. He has to be the match winner. He put himself in a match-winning situation and didn't deliver. Now, I think you can probably count on one hand the amount of times he's truly let us down by missing a colossal chance like that. And you can't say he let us down in this sense because we still went on and won. But you think back to the Newcastle home game, the first game that kicked this off, when he went for that stupid back heel. And it's funny how Leao's misses have kind of bookended our Champions League campaign. And yeah, that was it. I mean, look, a couple of notable performances to talk about. Mike Maignan made an incredible save to tip a Bruno Guimaraes shot onto the bar. That was fantastic. Again, you talk about match winners. Because that was at 1-1, pivotal moment of the game, and that's why he is, talked about as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And I thought he was generally good all night, to be honest. He was quick off his line. He was good at commanding his area, and he was shouting at the defense. Did notice that because of his huge hand movements. He was good. Thought Tomori and Teo did pretty well as a pairing again, because it's not an easy ask. It's gone up and up in terms of difficulty for them. To concede ones against Frosinone is one thing, but to then go away and concede 3 to Atalanta, I'm thinking, oh God, it could be 4 or 5 against Newcastle. But they did well. They seemed to raise their level for the big game. And then I thought Pulisic was good as well. Obviously he got the goal, which is what people will remember, but I thought he was back to his creative best. And then you've got the guys off the bench. So yeah, that's it. Champions League done for this year. I guess the win means that we feel a tad more optimistic coming out of it. But I guess missed chances in those first 2 games of what have killed us. And PSG and Dortmund are the 2 teams that go through. PSG and Dortmund, funnily enough, in the draw today, got Real Sociedad and PSV Eindhoven. So had we finished anywhere in the top 2 places, might have fancied us to have a go at either of those teams.
I think they're both good teams, to be honest.
PSV have won every game in the league,
Yeah, this season they're actually not easy. But I get what you're saying.
Their director's an American.
Who's that for? PSV.
Yeah.
Right. And Real Sociedad topped that group with Inter as well, so they're no mugs, clearly. But yeah, I don't know. It's better than getting Man City buying one of those. You still
Man
a bit
City,
of a coin
Copenhagen again. Like, what are they? Yeah. What is that?
They're going all the way. They're going all the way.
You think that's an accident? I don't think so.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm implying.
Top and flop of the match then. So the top for me, I'm going to say Chukwueze. I'm buzzing for him. Came off the bench, got his goal, loved the celebration. It was down in the corner in front of us. We didn't go through, but he gave everyone who was there that night and everybody who watched at home and around the world, he gave us a memory. It was something. It was great. It was a well-taken goal at the moment in the match. The difficulties in form we'd have, it was just a great moment, and sometimes you've got to appreciate the players that give you those moments. So I'd say he's my man of the match.
Same.
I'm going.
You win the match, you get it.
Yeah. I mean, Chuck he was the match winner. I want to go for Mike, but actually I'm going to go for Fikayo Tomori for 2 reasons. One, that clearance against Almiron was fantastic. I mean, it was utterly insane defending.
Yes.
But I'm actually going mainly for another reason, because for the first time, Tomori hasn't crumbled under that British pressure of playing a big game. Eyes are all on him, like he did with Chelsea, and he's done it in the past when we were playing Liverpool as well. He wasn't particularly great. He was brilliant. He was utterly brilliant. And I think Southgate has now probably, regardless of Southgate, to be honest, in spite of him, really, but I think the British fans have now realised that, he should really be starting for England. And so I'm really happy for Tomori for that, because I think he's been our best player all season. So, well done.
Are you one of those British fans?
Is that British also? British also includes Scottish and Welsh, and I don't think particularly chuffed with seeing it. But here we go.
I don't know the difference. All the same, England fans.
Yeah, very well said, and totally agree with you. That Tomori intervention, when it happened live in the stadium, we just didn't understand how it wasn't a goal. And people have since come out and been like, why didn't Almiron shoot with his right, blah, blah, blah. Tomori, exceptional bit of judgment and anticipation. Flop of the match, bit more of a tough one, this. I feel this feels harsh, but I'm going to go with... I'm not going to go with Leao, which I know is because I think someone else is going to pick him mainly. But I was really looking for Loftus-Cheek to sort of carry the midfield as he did against PSG. Now, he looked a bit leggy to me. He looked a bit fatigued, and it's understandable because he's coming off another injury layoff. And just generally, I feel like he's always a player who's going to be carrying a little bit of something just because of his size and his physique and everything. But yeah, when we really needed to grab a hold of the game in that first half when they were on top, and we needed him to be the man to break things up in the middle, was kind of missing a little bit. And it's sort of like with Tomori, we go as far as he takes us, his level of performance. With Loftus-Cheek, it feels like we lose the midfield battle when he's not on it, or we win it convincingly when he is on it. So I was a little bit disappointed by him, but I'm feel a bit harsh saying that.
I think that when you win, it's hard to pick. Like when you win like a must-win game in a European competition, it's hard to pick a flop of the match because it takes the entire team to win, right? Like if we lost, you could pick, differently. But I'm gonna pick Leao because when it came down to like be decisive, to score a match-winning goal or what would have been, he didn't. And so you earn the flop of the game.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, I'm also going to agree with Leao just because I made that comment earlier, and I'm not being overly critical of him. I just think he is our match winner by definition of the contract he's on and the pedestal we put him in. And I just get a little bit annoyed about easy chances that he misses. And I know it wasn't pivotal in this particular game; it didn't actually matter, but it could have done. And like you said at the start, it's a shame that our Champions League campaign has been marred by Leao not scoring rather than scoring, and it shouldn't be like that. So for that reason, I'll pick Leao as well.
Yeah, that's it. Champions League campaign over for another year. Join us in February for a Europa League background of some description. So from a cold night in Newcastle to a cold lunchtime at San Siro on Sunday against Monza, there's always a bit of a, after the Lord Mayor's show thing about this, about like playing after a Champions League game. You always worry that we might be a bit fatigued, that we went from the PSG win to the Lecce draw, that kind of thing. It can be tough sometimes, and fatigue can be a factor and things like that. And there's the early kickoff thing. Now, we all think of the early kickoff as being a real hoodoo for us, but they said on commentary that we've actually now won 5 of our last 6 early kickoffs, as in the 12:30 CET slot. So maybe we're not as bad as we think. This one was actually a pretty convincing and commanding win, given the circumstances. Obviously, we had to kind of field a bit of a different lineup for this one because the defensive emergency was still there, but the decision was made to bring Simon Kjær back into the side and then to play Pobega as a left-sided centre-back for the first 20 minutes, which was a bit wild. Then we kind of remained with that 3-4-3 system. Giancarlo Simic, who we'll talk about, came on. But yeah, Monza, who've been a little bit hit and miss this season, and their bad results have come against the sides above them, generally speaking. It was an underwhelming performance from them, and we were able to win without ever really getting out of first gear. In fact, we opened the scoring, as we rarely do, inside the opening 5 minutes. And I'm buzzing for Tijani Reinders because he squirmed the one goal. Yeah, second goal, his first at San Siro. It was under the curver. It was Salamanca's against Napoli-esque. He just weaved his way in, and then his shot actually wasn't that good. It was far from emphatic. It was more of a toe poke through the keeper's legs. Like that is not going to be in any finishing textbooks at all. But they all count, and Di Gregorio didn't see it coming. But yeah, buzzing for him. That was a big goal for him and big moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up and with 70 minutes left in the game. Yeah, it was early. Yeah. But I did watch the highlights this morning, and his dribbling through the box was fantastic. His finish was not fantastic, but like Oliver said, they all count. So
take it to the bank.
Yeah, I was severely hungover watching this game, so it was actually quite nice. I sat in a car on my way, just sat on my phone watching it. It was lovely. And
being in a car hungover watching a game on a phone does not sound lovely.
Mate, I'd be sick within minutes.
No, it was all right. I was calm. I was just there, like lovely. Anyway, right, each their own. Reinders' goal, brilliant. But yeah, I couldn't get, when you said that, Ollie, I couldn't agree more. Like his actual finishing ability to shoot a goal on target is some of the worst I've ever seen. Even when he scores, his goals are bad. But yeah, that first goal was fantastic. But for me, this match is all about Simic. I mean, to be 18 years old, to have your debut game at the San Siro, and to score a goal, and it was a really, really good goal. And yeah, okay, it was a cross goal, but I mean, he was there, right place, right time, at 18 years old to do that. What a moment for him! So I hope it propels his career and you know his place as a Milan player for the future. Really, really good to see.
Yeah, I hope it just also earns more trust that Pioli will break his favoritism and play players based on merit, not just. I mean, he scored one goal and he's 18. It's not like he deserves to start, but give the guy some more chances.
I think that if nothing else, it showed that he's a resource. Like he's someone that we actually can call upon, rather than what Pioli thought was the only option, was to play Teo out of his position and kind of limit some of his strengths. Really, now I think he knows that he's got a reliable figure to call upon, because this isn't just about the goal that he scored, which is of course what will take the headlines, and the pictures of his parents crying in the crowd because they've seen their son literally score in front of a packed San Siro. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. It's fairy tale stuff, genuinely, and it's what you grow up dreaming of. But in amongst all of that, we kept a clean sheet, and we actually rarely looked troubled. There was a couple of moments. Some people were saying, because I said on Twitter that 3-0 was like generous in our favour. I think it was more of a 2-0 game, and I'm thinking mostly of the chance that Colpani had, and they had another where Colombo flashed wide of the near post. I think they were good for 1 or 2 goals, but they didn't go in. On another day they maybe do, but we kept a clean sheet. It was like a bend don't break defensive performance, and when you consider that we switched to a 3 at the back, and because of Pobega's injury, you essentially had Kier returning from over 50 days out that he's ended up spending. Tomori's sort of in the middle of a 3, trying to, or sometimes on the right of the 3, just trying to marshal everybody, and Simic making his Serie A debut at 18. Those are not generally the conditions to keep a clean sheet against a team that doesn't have many problems scoring goals, and yet we kept a clean sheet. And so Simic deserves massive praise for his part in that. And yeah, he did take the goal well. Leao laid it on a plate for him. That was a great run and ball from him. He kind of turned provider in this game, which was really good to see. And then in the second half, the goal came from Okafor, and that was a brilliant team move. That is the kind of...
I think it's the best goal we've scored all season in terms of actual movement from start to finish. It was incredible.
Dare I say that we seem to play more fluid football whenever Okafor is down the middle, basically. Because we scored a really nice goal away at Cagliari, which was his first goal for the club. We scored a nice goal to settle the result against Lazio, which again he was on the end of. It just seems like movement-wise, we pose a lot more of a threat inside the box when he's there, and he's not a natural centre forward by trade.
I'm sorry, are you saying that 3 dynamic players playing together works out better than having 2 and then a brick wall in Giroud?
Hey, Giroud's layoff was nice.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Okafor came on. I think we kind of switched to a 2 up front, to be honest. Yeah. But let's say, for argument's sake, that Okafor came on left wing, and then when he got injured after 10 minutes, fucking rotten luck, absolutely rotten luck. Chukwueze came on the right, and we kind of shifted the attack back to a 3. But yeah, Giroud's flick, finally one worked. You throw enough shit at a wall, some of it will stick. But that's basically that's it. And but yeah, you've got to agree, because, and this has been what I've said like over recent weeks, even when we've been winning games, it doesn't feel like we score many normal goals. Like, I don't want to compare us to Inter all the time. Juve don't score many goals as it is, but like, they score goals from open play where they cut teams apart with passing and movement. Sometimes it feels like we're, relying on ricochets or individual efforts, a bit of brilliance from somebody, a long range strike. We don't actually cut teams open very much. And then you've got a Reinders dribble straight through the defense. You've got a lovely bit of play on the edge of the box. Leao squares, we score from close range, and then that team move. We scored 3 really good goals in this game, and that was nice to see. I hope the attack take confidence from that. We scored 5 goals in 5 days over the 2 games, so any sort of notion that the attack is in crisis in some way or whatever. You look before that, we scored 2 at Atalanta and probably should have got something. We scored 3 against Frosinone. Like, the performances, the goals have been there, but it just felt nice to score 3 goals where the team was involved,
Right.
Yeah. Don't know what else to add on that, really. I think you've got to give props to Pioli, because I think if you told me that we'd end up playing a 3-4-3 with Kier, Simic, and Tomori as the back 3, Florenzi and Teo as wing backs, after 20 minutes, I'd have said the guy's lost the plot, to be honest. And yet, the balls he calls did work. Now, I want to say we probably caught Monza on an off day, and I think against a better opponent, that kind of approach might be not quite as effective. But I will doff my proverbial cap to him and say fair play for finally putting him in there rather than just reverting to a 4. And I guess well done to Kier as well for coming back and looking not too out of place. Of course, he was shielded by a 3, but it is what it is. That's it. Anything to add on that one? Yeah. Tops and flops?
One very quick thing. I've got 2 very bold predictions. One, don't know why, but once I watched this game, I had a flash thought that I think Okafor's going to end up the top goal scorer in the Europa League when he's back fit, if he can get a running games. That just is random.
I think your hangover was telling you that, not.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're probably right.
Maybe he was still pissed.
The other one is, I think, again, on this Europa League thing, because there's been a bit of a, out of necessity, there has been a slowly growing of trust in Pioli in the youth. And I actually think we might start to see a little bit of players like Simic, Bartazaghi playing and starting matches in those sort of competitions. That's,
when I said Pioli needs to break off of like his trusted group, I will say the past like 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like he has been giving chances to players who normally he is not giving those to. The Giroud ban helped. The Leao injury helped. But like, even like we don't like to see those things happen, it also helps the coach like earn trust in players who are not normally in the picture. So
you look at Malik Chow, like we wouldn't have seen as much of him as we have if we hadn't had a defensive emergency. Now, you never want to have a load of injuries at once, because that means that you've got, even if it means someone gets a chance, it means you've got less depth, and we need depth if possible at all times. But with someone like Simic, it took a very specific set of circumstances for him to get his moment, and he took it. So that should give Pioli a little bit more encouragement to do it more. Like, for example, Pobega is potentially looking at surgery, and Okafor's looking at a month out as well, just to recap on the injury situation. But instead of scratching around, changing systems, whatever, to cover for his absence in January and beyond, if he does miss quite a while with injury, maybe play Kevin Zeroli, for example, who's been in and around the first team squad for a long time, similar dynamic box-to-box midfielder. Like, use what you have available, because we're pretty well stocked in midfield, and it can't.
It's also how you find like, I guess, like the diamonds, right? You have to give the youth guys a chance. Otherwise, they're never going to get it. By the time that they're 21 or 22, if they have not been like incorporated, it's like, see ya.
It's too late,
And that's where I see the benefit of the Europa League, because I just don't think, even if we in the Champions League, Pioli would never do that in the Champions League. He just wouldn't do it. Whereas I think there might be a switch. We go, it might be worth trusting these guys, and like you said, Maddie, these players then becoming that diamond in the rough players, getting that and ultimately helping us out. Latter stage of the Europa League, maybe not, but these round, the playoff round of 32 and so on, I think they'll get minutes and do well.
Yeah, totally. I think obviously there's been a lot of talk as well about this under-23 team that could come into Serie C like Juventus have had with their next gen. There are some players where I think a loan would probably be more suitable in terms of developing them into players we can use as ready-made products when they come back. But also, when they're put into situations like this in times of emergency and they perform well, you start wondering, well, actually, are they ready now? Could they be ready? That's part of the learning and developing process of young players as well, is that you have to put up with mistakes sometimes. So we'll wait and see. But I like the faith in the youth thing. Tops and flops from the Monza game. Top for me, Giancarlo Simic. Well done, mate. 18 years old. Got his goal. Good defensive performance. It's all about him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair for me to say, because I only watched for 30 minutes, but the 30 minutes I did watch, Okafor scored a goal, so he is my man of the match, or my top.
I'm going top, and I only if I'm correct in saying this, contrary to the Champions League game, but Leao got 2 assists, didn't he? Or did he just get the 1? I'm pretty sure it was
Giroud for the 3rd goal. Leao for the 2nd goal. Yeah. Pulisic got the assist for the Reinders goal.
Maybe I'm wrong then.
No, let me have a look. But yeah, you can pick Leao still if you want, because he's pretty good.
Yeah, if he did get 2, I don't know why I thought he did. Again, I was hungover, so apologies if I got that wrong. But yeah, I'm going to pick Leao because I thought I actually thought he was pretty good that game. Sort of terrorised their defence, and he was creating a lot of chances. So it was nice to see, especially after he was quite disappointing, as he should be, for being dumped out of the Champions League. So yeah, I'll pick Leao.
Yeah, Leao did get 1 assist.
He didn't get 2. He only got 1.
Yeah, he only got 1. Flop of the match is quite hard because I don't think there's anybody who had a stinker at all, to be honest.
It's Pabega for just having a shit hip. It's Pabega for having a shit hip.
It might have to be, but then that directly resulted in the guy I've just picked man of the match.
I know.
That's a bit of a tough one. For example, none of the papers gave anybody below a 6, and that's very rare for us. And I think it's an indication of how comfortable we were in the afternoon. Do I pick Loftus-Cheek again because he lost the ball on a couple of occasions?
I think you probably have to.
Yeah, I've got to pick him again. Come on, man! I want to be flying the English flag again. But yeah, I'll go RLC because I think there were a couple of times when he led us on a transition and he made the complete wrong decision. Yeah, I'll go with him. But I don't think anybody had a terrible game objectively.
I am going to recuse myself of this because,
it's your diplomatic right.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually am also on the Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I don't think he was bad. He wasn't bad, but I think it's because we expect quite a lot because we can see him when he is fully fit. He probably is our best midfielder at the moment until Benacer gets properly back. So yeah, and he just looked a bit not crap, but just carried on the sort of lower level of form from the Newcastle game, which we don't like to see. But I do think like you said, Ollie, I think he's one of those players that is. He's very rarely at 100%. When he's at 100%, he's actually unplayable. But you might get him at 100% 3 times a year. So
it's like it feels like it's impossible to. When you get him at 100%, you get a PSG game, but then he has to miss the next one because he's overexerted himself. Muscle overload. It's like Zlatan. It's like a 39-year-old Zlatan again. But yeah, hopefully we've got a little bit of an extended. When do we play again? Friday, so it's a couple of days extra off compared to the Champions League midweek. So hopefully we can get everybody fit again in the midfield. Let's move on. So we'll do the Salernitana preview now. So they are poor. They're a pretty poor side. They're bottom of the league. They've won 1 out of 15 games, 5 draws, and they've lost 9. They have
1-1 draw incoming, baby.
Oh, don't. They've scored 11 goals this season in 15 games, and they've let in 30. So they've essentially got the second worst attack, and joint worst defense. So nothing is going right for them at the moment, basically. If you look at their recent form as well, coming into this, they lost to Bologna 3-0 against Fiorentina. Their one win this season, though, was against Lazio. So, I mean, Lazio are a mid-table club now, I suppose. But yeah, Candreva scored the winner in that game, so we need to look out for him, I suppose. But yeah, rough old season for Salernitana. Kind of staying in Serie A was a bit of a miracle for them to begin with. This has to be 3 points, doesn't it? Like, we've got a fairly, because it's always on paper with us. You never know when we're going to drop points, but we've got a fairly simple schedule between now and the new year. With that, Sassuolo and then Empoli to come. Sassuolo being at home, so we're obviously going to lose that now. But yeah, this has to be 3 points.
It has to.
Yeah. I'm a bit worried about Candreva. Not because I'm not worried about Salernitana, but he always seems to get a goal against big sides, and obviously the ex-Inter. He's still quality, like from set plays and things like that. But we will concede, but we'll win. I'm convinced we'll concede. I don't know why, but always games like this when we don't expect to drop any points.
No, I thought against Monza we were going to concede like 3 and then score 4, and we kept a clean sheet with a makeshift back line. So
Antonio Candreva is closing in on being 37 years of age, and he's their second top scorer this season with 3 goals. He's got 5 goal contributions, which is like half of their total. What did I say? They've scored 11 goals, so that's 5 of 11 have come from him. And Boulaye Dia has 4 as well. Now, he's someone who was actually linked with Milan over the summer when we were looking for a striker. He, I think, is their main threat. But yeah, this has to be a win. I also think we're going to concede. I don't think this will be easy. There's the added narrative of Pippo Inzaghi being their head coach. I'm not saying he's the most tactically astute manager in Serie A, but law of the X in it. You know, it's going to come back and bite us probably. But yeah, let's predict it then. I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1 to us. And it'll be a late winner, and it'll be more difficult than it should.
I think that's a great shout. I'm going to go 2-0.
I'm going 3-1 because I think their defenders are awful. I think they start Fazio. Does Fazio start for them?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, he must be in his 30 by now, isn't he?
That's terrible. That if we're not getting 2 or 3 past him, then honestly, he's like a tree trunk. No, 3-1. But I do think we'll concede. So yeah, we'll get.
I'm just looking here at their injury. Oh no, Fazio's banned for the next game, so God knows who they'll actually be playing.
Oh no, maybe we won't.
Remember the Salernitana game when Ochoa turned into like prime World Cup Ochoa. But
what happened to Ochoa? Is he not
he's out injured until the new year, so we don't have to worry about that. That's fine.
I remember that game. That was nuts. That was actually nuts.
It was. He was incredible. And then after that, he turned completely to shit. But yeah. Just looking here at Salernitana's lineup to see how they'll be lining up. Costil in goal. Matteo Lovato, who was actually quite highly rated once when he was at Hellas Verona. Guillaume Parola. Mazzocchi, who we were linked with during the summer to be sort of a backup to Teo. They've got Koulibaly, Candreva, obviously. Boulaye Dia up front. Not a brilliant squad, to be honest. But they did well to keep Boulaye Dia. But yeah. Got to be 3 points. Final thing then, before we wrap up this episode, I suppose it is a talking point. The Europa League playoff round draw happened today. We could have got 3 teams from France. There was Marseille, who probably the most, them and Sporting Lisbon were like the most storied teams that we could have faced. Toulouse, which would have been the Redbird derby. Stade Rennais, who we ended up getting. But then there was like Karabakh from Azerbaijan. Who else was there? I've totally forgotten. Sparta Prague. But yeah, we got Stade Rennais. Happy? I think they were probably somewhere down the bottom end in terms of quality, and I'm quite pleased that we've drawn them.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't want to get a good team. So, but also like these are the teams that you kind of have to watch out for because like they did make it this far, and we are also saying like, we didn't get round of 16, so we didn't make it that far, so it's kind of like two opposite morals here. Is that how you want to say it? I don't know, but proceed with caution, but optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think Moncada will be really happy to use this as a scouting trip because he loves France so much. But I think it's okay. They have got a couple nice little players. They got Terrier, who's a French international. I don't know if he starts for France, but he's pretty good.
I always wanted Huddersfield to sign him because his surname's Terrier.
There you go.
Never happened.
Is that because they're Terriers at Huddersfield are the Terriers? Is that why?
Yes, that's our nickname. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Just in case other people don't understand, why.
Yeah, that one's going to go over
trying to
many people's heads.
I'm missing something here.
Yeah.
Martin Terrier does sound Yorkshire.
I think overall we can't be too unhappy, but I also think, we said it in the chat, I don't think we can just completely override them. We can't take games like this lightly. But yeah, overall happy. It's nice to get a nicer draw for once. So good.
They finished fourth last season in Liga, which was obviously a very good season for them. They're known as a bit of a talent factory, aren't they? Obviously, Jeremy Doku went to Man City. They've had other players as well who've gone on to big things. This season, they're struggling a little bit more. They're only 3 points above the relegation zone, and they've won 3 out of 16 games. However, Europe has kind of been their elixir, if you like. They've won 4 out of 6, but they lost both games to Villarreal, and ultimately that's what cost them top spot in the group. They lost the final group stage game against them, and that meant that Villarreal went through as top. We shall see. Not until February that we have to deal with that. February the 15th and the 22nd. We're at home in the first leg. Hopefully we have some fit players. And Okafor can start his race to the Golden Boot.
Which he will win. You've heard it here first.
That's it. Yeah, get a bet on it. We're still looking for a betting partner, so get in touch. We'd like a podcast sponsor. That'd be really nice. Thank you to everybody who has listened to and watched this far. Apologies, it's a bit of a briefer episode than normal. As mentioned, we're going to be recording the Christmas quiz straight after this, which will come out day before, or maybe the 23rd or something like that, so you can enjoy that over the festive period while we don't record a main episode. We'll record something between Christmas and New Year, I'm sure, based on what has happened in the Salernitana game and obviously the Sassuolo one after that, is it? Thank you to everybody for watching, and we will be back in just over a week's time.
Gol! Ancora Teo! È una meraviglia! Il gol di Teo Hernandez da un'area all'altra! È una meraviglia! Senti il mio...